7 decades since the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, around 80 new fragments of the ancient texts have been revealed to the public.
For the first time in over 60 years, we have fragments of a biblical book.
For nearly 2,000 years, a charred lump of carbon lay silent. An ancient scroll burned so completely that its words were thought lost forever.
These are new pieces of the puzzle, and we can add them to our greater picture of the period and of the text. And even though these pieces are small, they did give us some new information.
What no one expected was that this blackened relic would hide not only sacred scripture, but a cryptic message pointing to a long-forgotten sacred secret place. Now, using advanced AI and digital imaging, researchers have cracked the scroll's invisible code, opening a doorway into a hidden world of faith, mystery, and buried history. This is not just the recovery of lost words. It's the beginning of a hunt that could reshape archaeology itself. The burned scroll mystery. In 1970, archaeologists excavating near the western shore of the Dead Sea uncovered a devastating scene. The ancient Jewish village of Enghedi, once a lush oasis known for its precious balsam resin, had been consumed by an intense fire. The synagogue and the entire settlement were buried beneath a thick layer of ash and charcoal, relics of a violent destruction likely taking place around 600 CE during times of imperial persecution or conflict. Among the ruins, the most sacred object, the Holy Ark housing sacred Torah scrolls, was found reduced to blackened lumps resembling charcoal. These charred fragments were unlike any other Dead Sea Scrolls previously discovered in nearby Qumran caves. Unlike those carefully preserved texts, these scrolls had been literally baked by the blaze, turning delicate parchment to brittle carbonized masses. Their surfaces were fused and vitrified, leaving no possibility for physical handling. Any attempt to unroll or separate these fragile pieces risked turning them into dust. For decades, these dead scroll fragments were locked away, silent testimonies to knowledge seemingly lost forever. The fragments came to symbolize a locked door with no key, items of enormous cultural and religious value, yet unreadable and untouchable. The Enghedi scrolls held the promise of ancient biblical texts, once read and studied by the local community, but their secrets were trapped within. Scholars had questions, but no access. What stories lie within those carbonized layers? Were these just duplicates of known texts, or did they hold unique histories or clues about this vanished society? This discovery stood apart from the famous Great Isaiah scroll and other finds because it posed a nearly impossible problem: how to read what could no longer be physically opened. The scroll's condition defied traditional restoration methods, turning it into both a priceless artifact and a frustrating enigma. For decades, the knowledge within those burnt curls seemed irretrievably lost, stoking curiosity but granting no answers. It became a cold case for history and archaeology. The challenge was not just physical, but technological and scientific. How could anyone detect the faint, invisible ink on parchment that was now blackened beyond recognition? Every previous attempt to engage these fragments was met with frustration and failure. They sat silently in storage, their mysteries guarded by time and tragedy. But from a distance, technology was advancing, and the hope for unlocking such secrets was growing. Similarly, in the disaster zone where the research was being done, scholars are unraveling the same ancient mysteries. Catastrophic events like the one that occurred at Herculaneum, where the scrolls were buried by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, totally annihilated the scrolls. They were turned into charcoal and couldn't be read, but they still aroused the imagination of the digital archaeologists. Is it possible that new imaging and computational techniques will allow researchers to look into the delicate artifacts without damage? Eventually, this problem led to a significant discovery that changed our method of working with burned ancient texts entirely. What had been regarded as eternity, inaccessible, could now be reached, but not by means of physical handling, rather by digital transformation. The burnt Enghedi manuscript, was about to emerge from its shadowy past. From here, the story shifts to the revolutionary technology enabling scientists to virtually unwrap and visualize what lies concealed inside these carbonized scrolls. Technology that would change everything. Breakthroughs in virtual unwrapping. The key to reading the burned scroll came from a technology that resembled a medical scanner taken to extraordinary extremes. X-ray microtomography, or micro-CT, is like a hospital CT scan, but millions of times more sensitive, capable of slicing an object virtually thousands of times thinner than a human hair. By bombarding the artifact with high-energy X-rays from every angle, it produces thousands of ultra-high-resolution digital slices that can be stacked to build a precise three-dimensional map of the scroll's interior. In 2015, the Israel Antiquities Authority seized an opportunity. They sent the priceless Enghedi scroll fragment to a lab at the University of Kentucky, where Professor Brent Seals and his team were pioneering this technology. The scroll, previously considered completely unreadable, was scanned inside the micro-CT machine. The result was a giant digital file containing detailed maps of every fiber, crack, and layer within the ancient parchment, completely preserving the scroll's fragile internal structure in virtual form. A huge step in the right direction was taken with this development. A digital scroll was conceived, a scroll that would be scanned without ever needing the physical unrolling to be done. An issue of rotting and breaking that had plagued the researchers for ages was thus solved. Yet, this was just the beginning. The raw photographs had not simply one or two layers, but rather complicated layers of burnt parchment and ancient ink mixed chaotically to the extent that it was next to impossible to separate them. To make things worse, the scroll was riddled with heat and was thus rendered digitally impossible to separate. Separation demanded state-of-the-art computational techniques. Researchers had to painstakingly and accurately trace each digital layer, pulling out the intricate folds and creases while keeping the delicate parts intact. This virtual unwrapping worked on the scroll layer by layer in a digital format, revealing surfaces that were covered with carbon and not visible before. It was a long, challenging, and yet very innovative venture. However, just cutting out the layers was not enough. Determining the ink itself posed a further hurdle. The ink that was used in the Enghedi scroll was not your usual carbon-based ink like that in most ancient texts, but iron gall ink, which is made from oak galls and iron salts. This ink released microscopic iron particles into the letters, which could be detected by the micro-CT's very delicate X-rays as being just a little bit denser than the parchment around it. Still, there was a catch. The ink's contrast with burned parchment was very weak, a ghost lost in an arena of noise. Iron particles were very small, and the digital data was full of distortions and artifacts caused by the fire. Even with the best scanning technology, this was a no-win situation. Turning these indistinct signals into clear letters and words required another giant step: artificial intelligence. With the scroll now virtually accessible and the ink signals faintly visible, the path was set toward using AI to decipher the nearly invisible text concealed within. AI learns to read the unreadable. The challenge for artificial intelligence was immense. How to teach a machine to read letters that humans could barely detect and to distinguish ink from damage or cracks in the burnt layers. To achieve this, Brent Seals' team developed a custom AI system using convolutional neural networks, programs inspired by the human brain's visual processing pathways designed to recognize patterns. This AI wasn't pre-built to recognize these specific letters. Rather, it had to be trained like a language learner. The team fed it high-resolution images of legible Dead Sea Scrolls, such as the Great Isaiah Scroll, carefully annotating which marks were letters, which were ink, and which were damage. They guided the AI through millions of examples showing the delicate features of ancient handwriting and unique scribal styles. Over months of training, the AI learned to identify the subtle textures and flow of the iron gall ink, the way strokes tapered or cracked with age, and the distinctive characteristics of Hebrew letters. It became proficient at spotting even the faintest fragments of a letter, a ghostly curve or tiny tip, and could predict nearly complete letter shapes with 99% accuracy from incomplete traces. With this powerful digital tool refined, the AI was unleashed on the massive three-dimensional dataset of the Enghedi scroll. It began segmenting the convoluted layers, isolating the text buried in the carbonized darkness. Next, it enhanced the faint iron traces, boosting contrast and sharpening letters to reveal previously invisible script. Finally, the AI flattened these virtual layers, converting them into readable two-dimensional images. What appeared on the team's screen was not just a few random marks, but clear letters, then words, and eventually full sentences emerging out of a centuries-old, blackened void. This triumphant moment marked the first time in approximately 1,400 years that eyes beheld text carved in time by ancient scribes, but unseen until now. The unrecoverable had become legible, and with it, a new chapter was opened in the story of the Dead Sea Scrolls. From here, the discovery of the scroll's specific content and its transformative implications comes into focus, revealing not just scripture, but a hidden message that would send ripples far beyond the laboratory walls. The Leviticus text and its significance. When the AI finally revealed the text hidden within the Enghedi scroll, the discovery was nothing short of astonishing. The words that emerged bore out a near-perfect match to the Masoretic text, the authoritative Hebrew Bible version used in Judaism today. This alone was an incredible find because the Masoretic text was compiled centuries later, between the 7th and 10th centuries CE, while carbon dating confirmed the Enghedi scroll dated back to the 1st or 2nd century CE. This meant the biblical text had remained virtually unchanged for more than 1,300 years. The AI decoded the opening 8 verses of Leviticus, beginning with the Lord calling to Moses from the tent of meeting. Given Leviticus's focus on laws, rituals, and purity, this text was central to the community's religious life. The scroll's preservation confirmed the remarkable textual stability of the Hebrew Bible over a millennium, quashing long-held assumptions that errors or alterations were rampant through countless transcriptions. Scholars and skeptics alike were silenced by this concrete evidence. It proved that, despite centuries of upheaval, this sacred text had been painstakingly preserved without meaningful changes. For those who doubted the reliability of ancient transmission, the Enghedi scroll became a powerful testament to the care and devotion with which these texts were copied and guarded. Nevertheless, the AI's efforts were not limited to merely verifying the biblical text. While reconstructing the 6 columns of Leviticus, it discovered anomalies at the margins, swathes of subtle, delicate ink which could not be attributed to the official scripture but were like whispers amid the lines. The faded inscriptions were akin to a footnote, a personal mark of an ancient scribe or reader left as subtly as possible, but very rich in meaning. Thanks to its remarkable support, Aristotle-like quality, the AI managed to gather the fragmented words of the marginal notes. They were talking about a sacred, secret place. This term was heralded and not found in any other known manuscripts, thereby immediately raising the stakes of the discovery. This was no mere biblical copy, but an extremely important document full of hidden clues, a tantalizing riddle that dared to be solved. The idea of a secret sanctuary, overshadowed by the well-known text, not only changed the narrative from a simple discovery of the text to a mystery full of intrigue. What was this holy place? Was it physical, spiritual, or something entirely different? This concealed annotation brought to light a deeper level of the community's beliefs and rituals that were much larger than previously imagined. This kind of discovery linked the scroll to larger historical and religious contexts, thus leading to the exploration of the Essenes, who were near Qumran, the custodians of the hidden knowledge, as one of the communities. It was a juncture, the meeting of technology with ancient mystery, that propelled researchers very far from the known and into the uncharted area of investigation. The echoes from these margins led to a hunt not just for words, but for a secret lost to time. And this quest was just beginning. The mysterious margin note. The appearance of the phrase "sacred secret place" in the margins of the Enghedi scroll ignited a flurry of scholarly speculation. This fragment, found a mere few miles from Qumran, where other Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, is tantalizingly linked to the Essenes, a reclusive Jewish sect renowned for mystical rituals, communal purity, and secret wisdom. Their writings emphasize hidden knowledge reserved for an inner circle, a secret of the ages safeguarded through generations. One leading theory is that this note referred to a physical sanctuary near Enghedi itself. Ancient sources and archaeological evidence point to a cluster of stone-built cells by a spring northwest of the settlement, widely interpreted as an Essene monastery. Could this hidden complex have been the sacred sanctuary alluded to by the annotation? Perhaps a secret ritual bath fueled by the life-giving springs, accessible only to the purest members. This possibility suggests the note was a local interpretation connecting the biblical tabernacle rituals of Leviticus to a tangible sacred site nearby. Yet scholars are not limited to the physical realm in their interpretations. Another powerful theory ties this sacred secret place to Merkaba mysticism, an early Jewish practice involving spiritual ascent through mystical realms. Here, the secret place is not on any map, but in the mind, a portal accessed through intense prayer and visionary experience. The scarred note thus might point to a mental launchpad where mystics sought to glimpse the divine throne described in Ezekiel's fiery chariot visions. This mystical path is no mere metaphor. Ancient texts like the Songs of the Sabbath Sacrifice detail harrowing journeys through angelic guards, secret seals, and hidden exaltations that only select initiates could undertake. The margin note, in this light, could be a coded instruction directing the initiated to the true secret sanctuary within their spiritual voyage, aligning earthly rituals with transcendent experience. Adding to the intrigue is a third theory proposing the note relates to a treasure map. The famous Copper Scroll, an outlier among the Dead Sea Scrolls, catalogues vast hidden caches of gold and silver scattered across the Judean desert but never recovered. Might the Enghedi margin note reference a local treasure, perhaps communal wealth acquired through trade in rare balsam resin, safely hidden from invaders? If so, the sacred secret place becomes a lost vault, a physical source of riches as well as mystery. The wildest speculation connects the note to the origins of Kabbalah, Jewish mystical tradition, focusing on esoteric Torah interpretations. Here, the sacred secret place may not be a location, physical or spiritual, but the concealed meaning embedded within the text itself. The annotation could be a clue that the real sanctuary lies in the mystical reading of Leviticus, a spiritual landscape of divine glory hidden behind the written words. Whatever the true nature of this secret, the AI did more than read dusty script. It uncovered a code pointing to something both concrete and elusive, a treasure map embedded in history, mysticism, and faith. This enigmatic note launched researchers on an exciting quest bridging ancient landscapes, lost lore, and modern technology, with possibilities that challenge how we understand sacredness itself. Moving from the written word to earth and stone, this discovery has spurred archaeologists to deploy high-tech methods in search of the very sanctuary the AI revealed, turning mystery into a corporeal expedition beneath the Judean sands. the hunt for the hidden sanctuary. The discovery of a sacred secret place hidden in the margins of the Enghedi scroll sparked immediate excitement, sending archaeologists back to the Judean desert with renewed determination and new technology. Traditional excavation alone was no longer enough. Researchers turned to ground-penetrating radar, GPR, a tool that works like an X-ray for the Earth, sending radar waves underground to map what lies beneath without disturbing fragile remains. In 2023, teams concentrated their search around the burned synagogue ruins and nearby stone cells, long believed to belong to an Essene community. Slowly sweeping the site with GPR under the desert sun, they looked for anomalies that might signal walls, tunnels, or chambers hidden beneath centuries of sediment. Their patience paid off. The scans revealed a sharply defined geometric anomaly, one unlikely to be natural. This radar signature suggested a buried man-made structure, possibly the roof or foundation of a concealed chamber located near the heart of the ancient settlement. While its exact nature remains unknown, its shape and placement closely matched the scroll's cryptic reference. For the first time, a centuries-old mystery had a precise physical location, turning speculation into a focused archaeological investigation. Excavation, nonetheless, is extremely slow. The whole process is done with such care that, in case there is a sanctuary, it will also be the case that it will be studied in its full form. The GPR anomaly is likened to a modern-day X on a treasure map, which was drawn by ancient writers and uncovered by 21st century AI. But Enghedi is just the starting point. The AI-assisted scanning of one scroll led to the conclusion that AI could read those texts that were previously considered inseparable. This development laid the groundwork for the new, broader projects, especially those of the Herculaneum carbonized scrolls that were destroyed by Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE. The Roman texts written in carbon ink on burnt papyrus are an even bigger headache. To tackle it, scientists made the Vesuvius Challenge, calling for AI specialists all over the globe to work on deciphering the scrolls based on micro-CT images. The outcome has been very encouraging, giving rise to Greek words and even full sentences from a previous Roman library. This newly formed field, usually referred to as paleoinformatics, merges archaeology, AI, and digital imaging to bring back to life the texts that were lost due to fire and time. Although the exact interpretation of the sacred secret place is still an open question, whether its nature is physical, symbolic, or both, the very quest for it is changing the way the ancient world is unearthed and comprehended. The AI's breakthrough with the Enghedi scroll transformed a burnt relic into a beacon of history, revealing long-preserved scripture and a mysterious clue that has ignited a real-world treasure hunt. This fusion of ancient faith and modern technology reminds us how much still lies hidden beneath layers of time. If you enjoyed this journey into lost worlds and digital miracles, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay right here because the next story unfolding on your screen may be just as extraordinary.